China's quantum leap. How Beijing is racing to lead the world in quantum technology. The technology that could change everything. What if one breakthrough in science could change how we communicate, how we protect secrets, and even how wars are fought? This is not science fiction. This is the world of quantum technology. Around the globe, nations are competing to be first in this field. And right now, China is moving faster than most people expected. A new global competition. In the past, the race for technology was about who could build the best rockets, satellites, or even the fastest computers. Today, the new race is about quantum technology. China has entered this competition with massive investment, strong government direction, and a clear belief that whoever wins in quantum will shape the future of global power. So what is really happening in China? Why is Beijing putting billions into this field? And how should the rest of the world respond? Why quantum technology matters. Before we look at China, we need to ask why quantum is such a big deal. Quantum technology uses the strange rules of quantum physics to do things normal computers or networks cannot. It includes quantum computing, which could produce machines that solve problems faster than today's supercomputers. It also includes quantum communication, which allows secure communication systems that are almost impossible to hack. Finally, there is quantum sensing, which gives tools the power to detect things with incredible accuracy. If a country can master these, it gains huge advantages in science, industry, and the military. That is why China, the United States, and Europe all see it as the next frontier of global competition. China's massive investment. Unlike many other countries, China does not leave this kind of project to private companies alone. The Chinese government is leading the charge. Reports show that China spends around $15 billion on scientific and industrial development in quantum technology. $15 billion is not a small amount of money. It shows how serious Beijing is. The government sees quantum not as a side project, but as a pillar of national power. Would your country spend this much on one area of science? That is a question worth asking. China leading in research output. Since 2022, China has published more quantum research papers than any other country, including the United States. This means Chinese scientists are not only working hard but also sharing their results at a massive scale. Some experts argue that the quality of these papers varies, but the volume itself shows commitment. It tells us that thousands of researchers in China are focusing their talent on quantum breakthroughs. This creates momentum and builds a strong scientific base for the future. Quantum and military power. Why is China pushing so hard? One major reason is the military advantage. Quantum cryptography could create communication that no enemy could spy on. Quantum computers could break codes that are secure today. Quantum sensors could help in navigation and intelligence gathering. Beijing knows that first movers will control the future battlefield. This is why Chinese leaders connect quantum research not only to science but also to national defense and security. A state-led model. Here is an important difference between China and other countries. In the United States, companies like Google, IBM, and Microsoft play the biggest role in quantum research. They get funding but they lead much of the work themselves. In China it is different. The government stays in charge. Quantum companies are not fully independent. They mostly act as intermediaries between public research labs and state-owned clients, such as banks, telecom companies, or the military. This shows that China wants tight control over quantum development. It trusts government guidance more than private initiative. China's strength in quantum communication. Among the many areas of quantum research, China shines the most in quantum communication. The country has built the largest quantum communication network in the world, stretching more than 12,000 kilometers. On top of that, China has launched 2 quantum satellites into space. This allows ultra-secure communication between ground stations. No other nation has achieved this at such a scale. This success shows China's ability to turn research into real-world projects. It is not only about publishing papers, it is about building systems that work. Western export restrictions. Other countries are watching China's rise closely. The United States and some European countries introduced export restrictions in 2023 and 2024, trying to limit China's access to certain quantum technologies. But are these restrictions effective? Many experts say not really. Different countries do not always agree on technical details. Each country still wants to protect its own commercial interests. Enforcement is weak when global trade is involved. This means China can still find ways to move forward, even with restrictions in place. Europe's role and struggles. What about Europe? Many European countries are leaders in quantum research. Their universities and labs produce groundbreaking studies. But the problem is turning this research into practical applications. Why is this happening? partly because Europe's efforts are fragmented. Each country works on its own projects. There is no strong union-wide push to create big industrial platforms. As a result, Europe risks falling behind, even though it has the talent and ideas. Should Europe change its approach? Many experts say yes. Instead of focusing only on protecting technology from being taken abroad, Europe should also invest in growing its own industry. What would happen if the European Union built a stronger joint program for quantum development? Could it compete better with China and the United States? These are the questions European leaders need to answer soon. The bigger picture of global power. When we step back, we see that this is not just a science project. It is part of the global balance of power. China believes that being first in quantum will give it advantages in economy, defense, and international influence. The United States wants to stay ahead to protect its technological leadership. Europe wants to turn its research strength into real power. This is a true technology race. And just like the space race in the 20th century, the outcome will shape world politics for decades. The role of private companies in the West. When we look at the United States, the story is very different from China's state-led model. In the US, private companies are the real driving force. Tech giants such as Google, IBM, and Microsoft are pouring billions into building quantum computers. Alongside them, dozens of smaller startups are experimenting with creative approaches, often supported by venture capital. This private energy creates competition, fresh ideas, and fast progress. However, it also means research is more profit-driven and less directly tied to national strategy. In China, by contrast, the government decides the direction and ensures that every step supports long-term goals like security and defense. This difference in approach shows how culture and politics shape technology development in powerful ways. Why this matters for ordinary people. At this point, you may be wondering, what does quantum technology mean for me? The truth is, the impact will eventually reach all of us. Think about banking systems that cannot be hacked, medical research that uses quantum computers to design drugs faster, or transport networks that become safer thanks to quantum sensors. These are not dreams but realistic future applications. China's race to lead in quantum is not only about military advantage or prestige. It is also about reshaping everyday life. Whether we live in Asia, Europe, or America, the advances made in Beijing or elsewhere will one day change how we live, work, and connect. This is why the global quantum race is not a distant science story, but a part of our shared future. Questions for the future. As readers, we should also reflect. What will it mean if China becomes the global leader in quantum? How will this change the way countries interact and compete? Are we ready for the new security challenges that quantum will bring? Asking these questions helps us see that quantum is not only about science. It is about our future societies. The future is quantum. But one thing is clear. China has taken the race very seriously. With billions of dollars, thousands of researchers, and a state-led model, it has already achieved world records in quantum communication. The United States and Europe are also strong, but they face challenges of coordination and focus. The coming decade will show who can turn research into real breakthroughs. Quantum technology may sound complex, but its impact will touch everyone. It will shape how we protect our data, how we connect with each other, and how nations defend themselves. The race is on and the world is watching. So the question is, who will win the quantum race and how will that shape our future?